Welcome to the Odds Breakers, number one place for shared sharp betting information.
Welcome back to podcast 22 of 2019. I'm your host, Kiev O'Neill. You can tweet us at the Odds Breakers. You can follow us on Instagram or Facebook / the Odds Breakers. Hope you're having a fantastic April, everyone. We have some great shows lined up. Kentucky Derby is right around the corner. We're going to have some big names coming on our podcast to give you some winners. The NFL draft is here, and I worked hard breaking down every single team, their offseason moves, and what they should do. And that's what we're going to cover today, plus a possible little play on the draft itself. This episode is being brought to you by betonline.ag. Please visit theoddsbreakers.com/bet-now. Click on the banner for a 50% first-time sign-up bonus. Terms and conditions apply. If you're looking to help us out and sponsor our podcast, we would love to help you out. Please visit theoddsbreakers.com, hit shop, and become a member. For $12.99 a month, you'll get my picks before the line moves. For $2 more, you can become a patron subscriber, get all that in the podcast a little bit early. If nothing else, please visit theoddsbreakers.com and become a free picks newsletter subscriber. So one thing that I love about the NFL draft is the amount of parity that happens. The amount of teams that hide things, the amount of fake information that they put out there, basically lying to us and the media to try to get some more value from other teams for trade baits and things like that. A lot of teams don't want to show their hand. Yeah, if you're teaching your child not to lie, this is not a good example for them. But obviously, I love it. I'm sure you love it as well. And it's great to watch your favorite NFL team and what they decide to do on draft day. As for me, my team is the Bears, so we're not going to hear too much about them until late on Friday. But it's been a fantastic offseason. A lot of teams made a lot of moves. We have a very questionable player being drafted. Well, most people's mock drafts is number one in Kyler Murray, and that is the first one we are going to cover. So the agenda here is I'm going to go over Mel Kiper's top 10 draft picks, first through 10, and then kind of a mix between the rest of them because you're supposed to be an ESPN insider to get the rest of his. This is mock draft 3.0 for him. And I'm going to tell you what the mock draft says. And then I'm going to tell you what they should do in this 2019 NFL draft. Let's get right into it then. So obviously the Arizona Cardinals, worst team last year. They had a brutal schedule, as we all can remember. They're slated to draft Kyler Murray. Now, you saw some reports recently, a day or two ago, from NBC saying that they're not. I'm not sure if that's right or not. That's the fun about this whole thing. But to be honest with you, like I said before, I don't know what this team is doing. They paid a guaranteed signing bonus to Josh Rosen for $10 million last year, and now they're trading him for pennies on the dollar so they can draft Kyler Murray. A lot of people say that they already made the big risk by hiring a college quarterback with an unproven NFL system in Cliff Kingsbury, so they definitely will be drafting Kyler Murray. If you look on ESPN.com, Mel Kiper says there's a 99.9% chance they're drafting Kyler Murray. I don't think it makes any sense. And here's the reason. He's small. He's very small. And I think he's 5'10" if you put him on one of those ancient torture stretching machines and then go that you see on Scooby-Doo, and then you go and measure him. Okay. I do not think he's really that tall. He's listed at 207 pounds. I don't even think he's 207 pounds. I would say he's about 190. And not that I'm great at guessing weight and height, but when you saw him play for Oklahoma, you can tell he was very small, very fast, but he was also very accurate. The big problem I have with him and his NFL stock is that the linebackers in the NFL are much quicker than they are in college. This isn't Big 12 defenses. We've always criticized quarterbacks in the past for playing in the Big 12, and usually they didn't turn out until Baker Mayfield last year, who happened to play for Oklahoma too, but that kid was just accurate and a beast, as we all saw. And we also know that Murray played under a fantastic offensive line. So if he gets hit less than 200 pounds, he possibly is going to get injured easier, and he's not going to be able to see over the offensive line. He's going to have to take most of his snaps in shotgun mode. Teams are going to have to build around him, which is maybe what Cliff Kingsbury wants to do anyway. The hash marks are also a lot closer in the NFL to the middle of the field. Less option to kind of really stretch things out. I do not think that Kyler Murray, at his size, is worth drafting a quarterback. Okay? Especially when they drafted Rosen last year, because I think there's other options later in this draft that would still fit Kingsbury and plug the great many holes that you have. Steve Keim is putting his reputation on this. I'm shocked that he got through last year with all the bad mistakes they had. They put Josh Rosen behind a terrible offensive line. Terrible. It's been one of the worst two. It ranked 31st in Pro Football Focus in 2017 and 32nd in 2018. That's how bad their offensive line has been. And you're blaming Rosen for that? Now, I didn't like Rosen, if you remember. He was my 8th ranked quarterback out of the draft. But there's a lot of people that ranked him in the top 3. And the jury is certainly not out on this kid. And you don't know that he, even in Kingsbury's system, wouldn't do as good as a very short Kyler Murray that did not do well on the Wonderlic, from what I'm hearing, and some of his other leadership tests. So those are pretty much the reasons why I think that what you do is take care of the holes you have in your team first. I always said before you build up your trenches. So what they should do is, I guess, grab Joey Bosa, but more preferably trade down and draft O-line. There's other pass rushers if you can still stay in the top 12. Other edge rushers besides Bosa. Why take a risk on that small quarterback that played in a great system? I'd rather have a quarterback that excelled and made a decent bowl game in a terrible system with terrible players. Okay? The Cardinals' offensive line, like I said, is not going to do him any favors, and you're just going to be ruining him like you're ruining David Johnson if you do not take care of that. Okay? I don't think you did enough in the offseason to take care of that. I think you could trade down and benefit much more. Plus, if you want to get a guy that's kind of like him, grab Trace McSorley. Get him in the 6th or 7th round. He could fit in the Kingsbury system with the way he runs. You can also draft Tyree Jackson, who ran a 4.59 40 and is 6'7". You can train him. Look what he did with Buffalo. Why sit there and take such a risk, blowing all that value you have with that first pick of the draft in Kyler Murray? I am absolutely against it, and I think it's going to come back to haunt them. Who knows? I could be wrong. But from what I see in the NFL, and I've seen this before, I don't think that Murray necessarily is worth the risk for what he has done last year.
But they are who we thought they were.
The San Francisco 49ers slated to pick on Mel Kiper's 3.0 Nick Bosa at defensive end from Ohio State. Bosa obviously sat out a little bit. Probably not the stupidest move. What if he tore an ACL? That's unfortunate thing about college. If you're a big college fan, some of your best players will sit out at the end of the year. He actually sat out when he was healthy, missed a few games and the bowl game. But he knew he was going to be a top 3 pick, so I can't fault him for doing that. I wish it was different. I wish players got a little bit more of an incentive to play at the end of the year or these bowl games. But the NCAA is completely screwing that up, and there's pretty much nothing that we can do about it. But what I do like is that Nick Bosa is a pretty proven athlete, and you can see how he competes with his brother Joey, who has played for, or now plays for, the Chargers. This is a great pick, so I'm not changing it. The 49ers could use some interior line, but a pass rusher could really help this team in this division. Just don't screw around the contract like the Chargers did with Joey. That was just stupid. Just, now you know, just offer him what they offered Joey, or whatever the percentage change is for inflation, or whatever you want to call it. I also like how the Niners picked up Dee Ford and Quan Alexander on linebackers as well. This could be a very good unders team, even though people think offense when it comes to Kyle Shanahan. But this defense is really improved here, it looks like. And if Joey Bosa would be the christening here, Garoppolo's going to come back. They got Tevin Coleman. Nick Bosa is the perfect pick, and I agree with Mel Kiper here 100%. The New York Jets are on the clock with looking at Josh Allen, outside linebacker for Kentucky, and this kid was a beast for Kentucky. Shocked teams, literally stuck them themselves. I mean, huge contributor last year to the defense. Plus, he fits in that 3-4, and Allen's a best pass rusher, outside linebacker type guy. The Jets, they didn't get a rusher in free agency. They got C.J. Mosley, 6'5", 262, 17 sacks Allen had last year in 13 college games. Man, yeah, I got to tell you, this could be a perfect fit for the Jets, but because they need to get to Brady. They really do need to get to Brady. They got that's the only way they're going to have a chance with winning one of those New England games. But there's also some major needs on the O-line, and there's a few other pass rushers you can get later if you trade down. So I'd be okay with them trading down and getting some O-line, getting a higher second round pick or a second round pick, and just going down to under 14 or better. I think that would work out, but I am also okay with drafting Josh Allen, and I think this is absolutely correct here. The Oakland Raiders with Jon Gruden. Wow, did this team make some moves in the offseason. They really, really did. I mean, they pretty much, I think they even went back to the Bears and asked if they can have Khalil Mack back. But I think there's like 12 key pickups they had, and no other team has done as much as them. And I think they've definitely paid a little bit of money for that. I like Quinnen Williams a lot. And this is what Mel Kiper has him going to Jon Gruden's team. I think that the Raiders, they were one of the worst 3 defenses against the run last year, statistics-wise, so Quinnen Williams is perfect. They definitely could use a pass rusher, but they did do a little bit of that in the offseason. The thing about Williams is that he kind of fills in the pass rusher role as well. I mean, he had a ton of tackles in the backfield. He got to the quarterback himself. So he's like the best nose